everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me May or MG if you would like, and welcome to my TBR video for the August 2023 round of the Magical Readathon hosted by the lovely G from the channel Book Roast. I will leave links down in the description to all of the stuff you need to know about this readathon. It's been going for a couple of years now, so there's a video like introducing you to the readathon and like catching up, and there's also the video for this iteration of it and all the different prompts and stuff. Check them out down below if you aren't already familiar with this. Basically, the format of this readathon is that you are attending a magical school in this fantasy world that G has created, and you are studying to enter a calling, which is basically like a career, and you have to achieve certain grades in certain classes. There are 3 levels, either an O, a Q, or a D. The O means you only have to read 1 book for that class, the Q is 2, and the D is 3. I have gone for a fairly simple calling. I am going for the Moon Warden, which only has 6 books that I need to read total. I need an O in Elemental Studies, a Q in Astronomy, a Q in Restoration, and an O in Spells and Incantations. So I'm going to go through the prompts for those books and tell you what I've chosen. Although I haven't specifically chosen these, I let my members pick, so I have memberships on Ko-fi, and I picked 2 books for each prompt and said, hey, between these 2 books, which ones do you want to see me read for each prompt? And this is what they chose. So to get an O in Elemental Studies, the prompt is to read a book with the word Earth in the title, and my members have decided that I will be reading Walk on Earth a Stranger by Ray Carson. This is a book that came out quite a while ago, and it's one that I've known about pretty much since it came out. I just never got around to reading it. It is historical fantasy set during the US Gold Rush era, and the main character can like sense gold in the ground. And I don't know anything beyond that, but I just know that it's something that's always been in the back of my mind as wanting to read, so I'm gonna read it. Then, to get a Q in Astronomy, there are 2 prompts I have to fulfill. The first one is a word in the title from the last song that you listened to at the time of making your TBR. And at the time I made the TBR, the last song that I had listened to was Would That I by Hosier, and let me tell you, those are 3 words that are surprisingly hard to find in book titles, but we've ended up going with Please Don't Go Before I Get Better by Madison Kuhn. This is a poetry collection, and I've actually read from this poet before. I own her collection Almost Home, and I really enjoyed it, so I will be reading this new collection. I actually don't know if it's new. I found it on Scribd. That's how I'm going to be reading most of the books on this TBR. There are 4 ebooks and 2 physical books, so I got a nice poetry collection. The other astronomy prompt is to read from a finished series, and my members have so graciously picked the book that I would have had to read this month anyway. There's actually 3 books that I was planning on reading anyway, and they've picked all 3 of them for me to read for this readathon, so that's very nice of them. But for Read from a Finished Series, I will be reading The Kings of Clonmel by John Flanagan. This is the 8th book in the Ranger's Apprentice series. I should have remembered that just because it's my favorite series, and also this is the 8th month of the year and I've been reading one a month. Anyway, we are nearing the end of this series, and I'm very sad but also very happy to be rereading it because it's one of my favorite series of all time, and we get some interesting backstory on one of my favorite characters in this little arc that we're doing, so as always, I'm very excited to read my John Flanagan of the month. And to get a Q in Restoration, again, 2 prompts to fulfill, and these are probably going to be the hardest prompts for me. So the first one is to start a book before bed, and I don't think this means you can only read this book before bed, but regardless, that might be what I end up doing just to give myself a little bit of an extra challenge. Why not? But the book that my members have ended up picking is Restless Slumber by K.J. Sutton, and I was going to read this anyway because I'm buddy reading it with my friend. This is the 2nd book in the Fortuna Sworn series, a new adult fantasy romance, and I'm very excited to pick it up. And the other prompt is to read a book in a different spot each time you pick it up, and for this I will be reading Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and it looks thick, but the font and the margins are pretty big, and I'm hoping that I can do this without having to find some weird places to read. So I've only got limited seating in my apartment, but I could also like leave and go read elsewhere. Hopefully I can finish this in only a few reading sessions though, to not make it super duper hard on myself. But this is the Nostalgia Train book club pick for the month, so I was going to be reading it anyway, and I'm glad that my members graciously put it on this TBR for me so I don't have to have too many reads. And finally, to get an O in Spells and Incantations, the prompt is to read a manga, comic, or graphic novel. And the manga that I will be reading, because of course it's manga, you know me by now, is Blackguard by Ryo Hanada. This is the same mangaka as Devil's Line, which I read about a year and a half ago and really enjoyed, so I'm excited to pick up this other work by them. It's very short, only 5 volumes. I should have no problem getting through it. And though those are the only books that I'll be reading for this readathon, this is not the end of the video because, like I said, I like to make things difficult for myself, and so I will be doing a sort of time blocking schedule. This is 100% taken from Allison, from the channel Allison on a Book Break. I will link her channel down below. She makes the best vlogs. I love whenever she uploads new videos. And for Orilium last, iteration in April, she made this whole schedule with certain times she was allowed to read certain books, and she gave herself end dates that are her final dates that she had to have her reviews written by, and I just thought it was so cool. What she did is a little bit too involved than I would like, so I'm gonna be a little bit simpler, and I'm just gonna give myself one day for each class because there's 6 books but it's only 4 classes. So from Monday through Thursday, each day is going to be for one class, and I can only read the books for that class on that day. And then Friday, I can read from any class, but only one. So say the first Friday, I want to read from my Monday class because there wasn't a Monday that week because that's still in July because the 1st of August is Tuesday. Then I can only read my Monday picks for that Friday. And then the weekends, I can't touch the books for this readathon. I'm only going to be reading other books. It's kind of a mess, but that's the system that I have gone with. And it's been a hot minute since I've read more than one book at a time, but I have a feeling I'm going to be reading several books at a time here. It's fine. We're gonna figure it out. This is gonna be one crazy vlog, if anything. But I will be rolling my D4 in order to pick which days are for which classes. So let's cut to that. So we've got my D4 here. This is a different D4 than I use for my regular TBR game. I just thought, let's use a different one. It's this really beautiful orange with a pink kind of tone to it, and the letters are a bluish purple. Letters? They're numbers. The numbers are a bluish purple, and I think it's gorgeous. So we're gonna use this, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the top of the list and work our way down for the classes. And if I roll a 1, that's for Monday, 2 is for Tuesday, 3 is for Wednesday, and 4 is for Thursday. If I roll the same number after I've already assigned a class to that day, we're just gonna roll again until I get an empty one, and then the last class is just gonna go with whatever the last empty day is. So without further ado, let's get started with Elemental Studies, and the day is 2, which is Tuesday. The next class is Astronomy, so we're gonna roll, and I got a 3, which is Wednesday. And next up we have Restoration, so we're gonna roll again, and I got a 4. No repeat numbers, so this is going to be on Thursdays. Okay, so that means on Mondays, I can only read my Spells and Incantations book, Tuesdays is for Elemental Studies, Wednesdays is for Astronomy, and Thursdays is for Restoration, and then Fridays I can pick any one day. Now I don't have a ton of books, so I don't think I'm gonna have any problem finishing these. I just feel like it's going to be a little bit annoying for me to say I start reading one of my Elemental Studies books. Actually, I think Elemental Studies, I only have one book. I start reading my Elemental Studies book on Tuesday, and then I don't finish it, and I have to wait until Friday or the following Tuesday to pick it back up. That's gonna be a little bit annoying because, when you're reading a good book, you want to just keep reading it, but I'm adhering to this very simple time blocking schedule, and that's that. And now we have come to the end of the video, so if you've enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you're participating in the readathon and which calling you're going for, and subscribe to my channel for more content. That way I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.